Hi, Todd.
Hi, Debbie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Just
Hmm.
FYI, I am going to record our breakout, so
Okay, great.
yeah, so it can be part of the library going forward.
Excellent. So, where in Idaho are you based?
I am about as far north as you can get in
Uh-huh.
Idaho, almost to Canada. I'm in Sandpoint, Idaho.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I went to Idaho in 1978, our family's first family vacation from St. Louis, and so I do student recruitment for the University of Melbourne in Australia, and I'm going to Boise State
Ah,
next month to talk about studying at Melbourne for study abroad. So it'll be nice to be back in Idaho for a first time in like 40 years. Yeah.
awesome. Well, we want to, I lived in Boise for 25 years, so I know Boise State really well. Bronco
Yeah.
Bronco Nation is what they call it.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's just going to be overnight, but anyway, yeah, we've got others to
Hello,
come in.
Mary. Hi, AJ. Hi, Lori. We're going to wait just a couple minutes more to see if more members of our flock show up. But welcome,
Todd, what club are you in?
me.
Todd.
Oh, Todd.
I'm part of the Rotary Club of San Francisco. So our club is the principal sponsor for our district's
Yes.
Rotary. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Hi,
I used to
Paula.
be in your district
Hi. Hi.
in
Oh,
River City.
nice. Where are
Yeah.
you now?
Hawaii, Maui.
Oh, wow. Great.
So we're going to go around here in just a minute once we're sure everybody's here to introduce ourselves, tell each other where we're from, what district, and what your position is in youth services. So maybe we'll wait just a little bit longer to do that. We're all RYLA fans, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Or RYLA wannabe fans, wannabe RYLA fans.
Uh,
Well,
Definitely a fan.
yeah. Well, why don't we go ahead and start? We can catch other folks up as we go. Todd, if you don't mind repeating everything you said about who you are and where you're from and what district and your position in youth services.
sure. So I'm Todd St. Vrain from the Rotary Club of San Francisco, and we're part of District 5150, that's San Francisco, Marin, and San Mateo. I'm our club's going in my second year of Vice President of Youth Services. For the last 3 years, I've been a facilitator in RYLA and Deputy Director and incoming Director for our RYLA.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. We look forward to your wisdom today. Mary, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right. I'm Mary Alberts, uh, formerly in District 5150, in a River City club that is no longer around. It was Peninsula Sunrise. I did RYLA for at least 4 years in 5150, was counselor, and my last year there was chair of RYLA for, yeah, the last year I was there, I guess that was 2016. And then have been involved in RYLA in Hawaii on Maui since 2017. So, and now I chair RYLA on Maui for the last 4 years, I think. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, we look forward to what you have to share for sure. AJ, why don't you introduce yourself, where you're from, your district, and your position in youth services?
Sure. I'm with the Prescott, Arizona Sun Up Rotary Club as a club. I am involved with 5495 district chair. I've been well, you call it facilitator, we call them mentors. We found facilitator created problems.
Mm.
I've been a mentor, I've been the registrar for 5 years, 2 of those through COVID, and now I'm on my second year as chair for the district RYLA. So,
Wonderful. Congratulations.
thank you.
Very cool. And Lori, how about you?
I'm Lori Burke. I'm at District 5450 in Colorado. And we do a combined RYLA 5450 and 5440. So it's RYLA with Colorado, parts of Nebraska, and Wyoming. And we do RYLA for high school age and also for middle school. And I've been involved at the district level for about 10 years. And I'm involved in, we call it Young RYLA. So it's the incoming 8th graders is who attends that one.
That's great.
Oh, just one grade.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, we got to circle back to that probably. And Paula, go ahead. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, all. I'm with the Yorba Linda Sunrise in Southern California, and I'm the youth chair for District 5320 and been involved in RYLA. I'm done recruiting. I'm do some of the RYLA training and previously was a counselor as well as mentor. And I just want to say all the chief cook, bottle washer, anything you can imagine, roll up my sleeve and try to do.
Thank you for that. I think we're all probably a little bit of that utility player, right? Where
Yep,
we
absolutely.
morph as needed. So my name is Debbie Ford. I am here in District 5080, and I live in Sandpoint, Idaho, North Idaho, almost to Canada. So in that skinny panhandle part, it's beautiful here. I direct our district's RYLA program. I also am an Interact advisor, and I am the district youth services chair, my club's youth services chair, and as you now know, I'm a member of the Rotary Youth Services Task Force for Rotary Zones 26-27, and I'm kind of the new kid on the block, so don't expect too much from me. I'm kind of learning a ton as I go. So what we've been asked to do during our breakout is just kind of go around, and maybe we could, for the first question, kind of go around in the same order, and talk just briefly about, now that you know a little bit about what a community of practice is all about, if you could just share some thoughts about how you see of the value of a group like this. And let's, for sake of us, we can be a little selfish here. Let's consider the RYLA lane. How do you see a group like this, a community of practice, of value to you? And secondly, how do you see the best way to design the group? In other words, is a Google group a good way to stay in touch with each other? The whole idea is to stay connected in a way that helps us, that serves us, do our work to benefit our district and our clubs. So, so Todd, what are your thoughts about the community of practice model and how it can help us?
Oh, definitely. I think it's so invaluable that we just can draw upon each other's wisdoms and lessons learned, whether it's that, we can share something that has really worked for us. We just had our largest RYLA ever, and people might be like, what's your secret sauce? But we were also struggling. We have some concerns about how we best support youth's mental wellness at camp, a financial student facilitated recruitment. I think the list goes on of just really learning and sharing with each other. I would advocate for some kind of practice. I'm not familiar with like a Google group, but what that means. What I can draw from my day job, that we're on Teams, and so Microsoft Teams, it's an app where, you can all be part of it, or like like WhatsApp or whatever, that you're responding to it. I think what we're all, really committed and overworked, so that in terms of just lots of emails, and then suddenly there's 50 emails in your e-box of just one discussion, as opposed to having, some type of app, like whether Teams or wherever, where you can have a discussion, you can store files that everyone can have access to. So that's what I would welcome as something that we can benefit from, but not having to inundate our inboxes as much as they already are.
Thank you for that. Well said. Well said. This, a community of practice is not here to burden us, right? And to take more of our time, which is, practically non-existent. So thank you for that. I'm taking a few little notes here as we go along. So if you see me kind of focus somewhere else, that's what I'm up to. Mary, how about you? How do you see this unfolding? Where do you see its value?
Well, I kind of missed what the definition was. So I came in late.
Okay, so you
Can you give me one sentence?
just so you know, you can capture that in the chat earlier on. Chris put a
Well, I
great,
came too late to see what was in the chat.
oh, I think you might still be able to access it, but it
I
doesn't
tried.
doesn't matter with what
Anyways,
with what you know
one line.
now. How do you see the value and in a community, and what would work best for you in terms of design?
Can you give me a one-liner of what it is?
Oh, for sure. Oh, a one-liner. So a community of practice is a group of people with a common purpose, with a desire to connect with others who are like-minded and striving for similar goals, so that knowledge can be shared and ideas can be shared, challenges and successes can be shared, and that this can be done ongoing as needed, as opposed to a conference once a year. So it can almost happen in real time.
Okay.
Does that
So
help?
yeah. And so are you anyways,
Yes.
yeah, that's great. So yeah, I would think it would be invaluable, having come from 5150 where the RYLA was so huge and we had a huge team of people and teams of people to run it, to going to trying to run it by myself is, it's like pulling teeth to, get people on board and to follow through and, all that. So, yeah, I think it would be totally very useful.
Okay. And thinking about what Todd was saying about making sure this isn't a burden for us to connect and interact, but rather something that feels easy and more fluid. Do you have any ideas of how that would work best for you, or what kind of tools we would want to employ to make that happen?
I would just echo Todd's recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just to chime in, speaking to your particular situation, a couple months ago, I had a Zoom conversation with Marilyn Morris. I don't know if any of you know her, but she's the district Interact chair for Montana. And I don't know if you all knew that the state of Montana is one district. I did not know that before I talked to her, but think about that.
Wow.
And
Well, same with Hawaii.
yeah,
It's one
And
exactly.
district.
Wyoming is the same.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I bring it up in that, our districts are not all the same. And to be able to help each other, raise each other up and help each other with these challenges of a geography and the logistics, I think is just such an incredible opportunity to be of service to each other. But Mary, I guess my point is just know that you're not alone. And this would be a cool topic for example, for one gathering of our RYLA community of practice, is let's address that. Let's address when you don't have literally enough personnel to get the job done. How do you do that? So, so thank you for sharing that so much. AJ, how about you? How do you see this working for you?
Well, first, I'd congratulate you, Debbie, on coming up with the longest run-on one-liner sentence to explain that.
I agree.
Ever.
Well, I am an obligate extrovert. I apologize in advance.
No problem. It was a great explanation. So just like the others, I think it's valuable. I think the big thing important for me would be so I'm the chair on a 3-year stint, right? And I don't know, I'm sure other districts do similar things. And that means hopefully you get some background like I did as registrar. I picked up a lot of information to prepare me to be the chair, but even still, you still end up finding your own way. So it would be great to have a connection with other chairs and or other practitioners in RYLA to see what they're doing and what are their best practices. I think Todd hit it pretty accurately. I'm not a big tech person, so I've never used Google Groups and things like that. I'm somewhat conversant with Zoom. I've only recently learned how to use Google Docs, which I think would be the area where we could store things that could be shared out to a whole group, I think. But I'd be glad to learn about any of those things that would work. I mean, especially setting up the communications. I've had a communication this year with I guess a district chair over at one of the ones in RYLA in California, which was pretty helpful. But yeah, a lot of these topics like combined districts, RYLAs, that question came up with my youth services chair recently. So it'll be interesting to hear about how that works and how to make something like that go if we wanted to. I mean, and there's a lot of things like finance. I've become by default sort of a fundraiser because our district wants us to be all self-standing, and last year we were over budget and they weren't too happy about covering that. But so it's, yeah, there's a lot of different things. It'd be good to be able to share and see what other people are doing.
Awesome. I think you hit some things directly on the head of budgeting within our clubs, within our district for our youth programs, and fundraising or not, getting grants or not. That could be a conversation just in itself if we were to get together. So, and I really appreciate your comments about the technology, AJ. I think for all of us who are not tech by nature, you know, we want these things to be tools. We don't want these things to be burdens. You know, we want these things to flow and be of help to us. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that comment. Paula, how about you? How do you see this unfolding for the RYLA team?
So some things, and I'm going to throw out what I think are the challenges, and because I don't have a good answer for it. I love having kind of groupthink because you don't reinvent the wheel. People with lots more experience can provide good information. People who are new at what they're doing can get resources and get them promptly, you know, and that's kind of targeted. And so the question is, how do we make it happen for all these people when the value of the group are the input of the people who are in the group? So if you've got expertise in the group, you want them to stay engaged in that group because you need them to provide more information. And if the group, like as Todd mentioned, if all of a sudden we're peppered with all kinds of, you know, WhatsApp pings and so forth, and we're really busy, we get annoyed. And then and I can tell you what I do with the other groups that I'm in, they get deleted. So there has to be figuring out relevance in what we do. So from the conversations that I've heard, I think the big idea issues like, you know, AJ, you were sharing about, well, how do we figure out how to work with other RYLA groups? You know, if we have a small RYLA group, how could we pull resources together, or how we operate? Maybe some of the big ticket items in my mind, in terms of how I would use this group, those items I'd like to see in a conference, you know, where we're really focusing on 4 or 5 different topic areas. The things that I usually need the most out of groups like this is, does anyone has a better idea as to how to get these people, you know, YPT when they won't, and I need them to get to camp, but I can't let them go unless I can get them there, you know, I get that done. So kind of the quick questions. And in like when you travel and have those travel programs where you can log in to a website and you just text in a question about where you're going and what questions you have, and then inevitably within an hour or two, a bunch of people will respond back, you know. And that to me is the best way to do this. I don't need a big conversation. If I want more detail, I can pick up the phone and, you know, call Lori or call Debbie or call Todd or call AJ and have that conversation. But a quick, you know, I need some ideas. I want a platform that can get me there quickly. But then when I don't need information, the balance is I'll commit to responding to as many questions that I know answers to quickly, but I don't want to be in a long chat back and forth over any kind of electronics. So that's to me the challenge of these types of groups.
So thank you, Paula, for that very, very much. So here's a question. Communities of practice are able to create their way of interacting. It is not prescribed, right? So in keeping with the comments you've just made today, if we were a community of practice, we could say to each other, we could set guidelines, Paula, including the ones you just mentioned. We could say to each other, let's make sure we meet as a group via Zoom every 3 months. And that's when we talk about things that have come up that were not of an urgent nature. Those are the things where we talk about more broadly, more big perspective, more big picture. How can we make things better going forward? What resources are out there that weren't there 3 months ago that we really want each other to know about? Or maybe a training or a contact person, whatever it might be. But then in real time, so as not to be a burden to each other, we make a pact that if there's a question about something specific that we would love an answer to right now, ask the question, get an answer, now you're done. Something like that. So we could agree to those terms, if you see what I mean. We can create that on our own. So I love that so much.
I do like having the idea of having a place where we can have access to some documents. Like I did look up when I was at RYLA, an issue came up and I looked up the RI youth protection policy. I did find it. It took a while to dig through things to find it.
And it's really long.
It's really fun. I just, it's like, okay, how do I deal with some of my trans kids that come? What room do I put them in? How do I deal with the kid who is being inappropriate with another student? So peer-to-peer abuse or harassment. How do I deal with these things? It'd be nice to have a space, like Todd was saying, like a Teams OneNote file where you can access that information, whether it's OneNote, whether it's Google Workplace, whether it's Cloud Runner, they probably have some kind of thing that they could build as well through RI, but it would be nice to have access to things. One of the issues also is we have 5 different districts represented here. And so we have 5 different ways RYLA is run. Our RYLA programs don't look the same. They probably aren't funded the same. They aren't. So just starting with some basics of, what does it mean to be a RYLA group? What is, what do we want out of it? And are there some best practices on how to fund it? Just breaking it down to go to the beginning so that we have a shared understanding of what that even means.
I love that. I love that so much. You heard Mike talk about NAN and its mission statement and vision statement. As he was reading that, and I actually did copy it all down. I'm happy to send it to y'all. But as I was thinking RYLA, I was thinking, I'm not sure I have that in writing anywhere for RYLA. I'm sure I could find it, like what to do with with gender preferences for our kids. I'm sure I could find it, but it would take me a really long time, and I'm not sure I have time today to go after that. So why not, as a community of practice, why not craft a mission and a vision, and that is where you have to start. It's the the why, the what, and the how. I mean, that could be our launch pad, because I think it's really important, to your point, Lori, that we have a foundation from which we grow, and we can always that's solid ground right there.
Mhm. And they don't have to look the same to be a RYLA. It wouldn't
No.
work. One size does not fit all in
Exactly.
RYLA. And it's great that we have all these differences, but just starting with that understanding, I think, would be important.
I agree. Thank you so much. I'm so curious. We're not going to have time today, but I'm extremely curious about your RYLAs. I'm so curious about what they look like. I want to see
Yeah,
pictures.
me too.
I want to see pictures. I want to know where you have them. I want to know what your program looks like. I want to know how you staff them. I want to know how you fund them. I want to know, how you house the kids at camp. But, I want to know how you feed them. I want to know all that. And I want to know what you talk about. Where do you take these kids? Do you talk about peace? We've just started inserting a peace building element into our RYLA, and last year was our pilot in inserting that element, and didn't go very well. I mean, it went partly good. It went partly good, but then we tried to make it too adult. We didn't do a good job at, although the thing that really worked, I want to be conscious of our time here. I think we're in pretty good shape. I have another question to ask you, but we had the kids create a peaceful country. And it could have been on another planet, could have been under the ocean, could have been floating. Just blank slate. And then we asked them to draw it. I had butcher paper all over long tables. They were working in groups of 7 or 8 with markers, and they just went wild. And they had to name their country. We asked them to talk about economy. We actually asked them to talk about communication. We asked them to talk about education, government. So they had to be able to stand up as a group of 7 and show us their country and talk about why this is peaceful. And that worked. I mean, I was almost in tears, to be honest. The part that didn't work is we asked them to consider the eight pillars of peace from the Institute of Economics and Peace, that's a partner of the United Nations, and that didn't work at all. So, but wouldn't it be cool to talk about some of the elements of our program and compare notes and say, hey, what really resonated with the kids and what was just a bust? And then you don't have to reinvent, right? So I love that so much. Okay.
Yeah, Debbie.
Yes, sir.
Just a note for everybody. If you want to know something about our RYLA, if you go on YouTube and look up 5495 RYLA Pine Rock, you'll see videos in the last few years. We have a video made every year. And last year it was done by a professional videographer and a professional photographer. So helps a little bit if you want to get a flavor of it. Anyway.
And did you say that's YouTube?
On YouTube, yes.
Yeah, okay.
5150 just had a professional videographer too, and for the first time ever had videos about the camp, videos for prospective facilitators. So I'm just going to put in our website into the chat, which is ryla.camp, and from there, from the landing page, it will take you to the YouTube channel. That also had, like, first time ever we did like an info session for prospective students, or info prospective. So that's all on. Yeah, so I think that's the benefit of a community of practice, is just sharing things like, that, or how did we go? How'd you get it? What's the cost involved in getting a professional video done?
Yes.
Yeah, we were lucky. I actually got two people that were very interested and involved in Rotary and interested in RYLA. They didn't cost us a penny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So therein is another, avenue that we could explore together is where can you get sponsorship like this? Where can you,
Right.
because we're all on a tight budget.
Mhm.
But my experience is as we develop community partnerships locally for our RYLA event in the form of guest speakers, in the form of organizations that we can help with fundraising for, et cetera, that it feels like we're building this infrastructure, but I'm sure there's better ways to do that than others and more successful ways than others. And wouldn't it be cool? Because I want our kids to know how to build community partnerships.
Yeah.
It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway